Hey witches, happy Friday. Still technically Friday. When I upload this, it'll still technically be Friday. You'll probably see this on Saturday though. So it's either Happy Beltane, Friday, May 1st, or still Happy Beltane, Saturday, May 2nd. And I am not your morning witch. Well, maybe I am. Maybe you're watching me tomorrow morning. But it is Folklore Friday, and I told Jessica that I would cover some herbs for Folklore Friday, and that I would not make it a quickie because I've missed a couple Fridays. So we're going to talk about the lore and magical uses of a couple of herbs. First up is basil, my green go-to. So some of the fun folklore that surrounds basil is in Africa, basil was believed to ward off scorpions. In ancient Europe, basil was believed to generate scorpions. So if you had basil leaves that you weren't watching, they could turn into scorpions. Ironically, basil was also in ancient Europe, same time, believed to be the cure for scorpion stings. Now, I like to call basil the green go-to because basil is good for bringing money, it's good for bringing luck, it's good for protection, it's good for purification. It's the green go-to, right? Now, India, where basil is believed to have come from, some people believe basil came from Africa. Most sources believe that basil is native to India, where it is used to ward off evil. In India, basil is also a sacred symbol of love, fidelity, eternal life, purification, and protection. Since in many cultures, basil is believed to ward off evil as well as provide protection and bring in prosperity, basil is often planted near the front door or kept near the front door in a planter. Basil has a lot of connection to the afterlife as well. In both Indian and Egyptian cultures, basil was part of the last rites, essentially. Basil has been found in mummified Egyptians from ancient Egypt, and it was also used in the death rituals in India, such as a dying individual would have a leaf put in their mouth, and after death, the dead would have their head washed in basically a tea made from the basil. Now, because of the usage of basil in embalming, in Egypt, it's also a symbol of mourning, which makes sense. And lastly, in Hebrew tradition, basil was thought to help ward off the hunger during fasting. So people during fasting would wear a garland of basil, and the fragrance was thought to help them not be hungry. So again, the green go-to. Now, the next herb we're going to talk about is rosemary, and I'm sure everyone's heard the adage about planting rosemary by your garden gate for protection and bringing good, prosperity to your garden. Now, in addition to the folklore about planting it in your garden, ancient practitioners have always used rosemary for health, for medicinal uses. I don't know why that word didn't come to my mouth, probably because it's so late at night, but I said I was going to do this Folklore Friday, and damn it, here I am. Anyway, I got off track. But ancient practitioners used rosemary to help strengthen the memory, help with the brain, and even help with the heart from a medicinal aspect. But also, rosemary is used in magic for love. It is also used for purification and protection, which it all makes sense with the medicinal, you know what I'm saying? Burning rosemary was said to ward off evil energy or negative energy and bring in purification. Additionally, in a lot of folklore in Europe, Rosemary was said to represent the lady of the house and was cultivated in a lot of gardens, probably by the garden gate. Now, as with basil, rosemary has a connection to the dead. In England, if a person died from illness, rosemary was burned in the home and placed on the coffin before the coffin was covered with dirt. The folklore says to stuff a poppet with rosemary to take advantage of its healing properties. You can hang a bundle of rosemary by your front door to keep harmful people away, whether it's a burglar or fake friends or someone who means you harm in some way. Lastly, we'll say that in magical workings or spell work, rosemary can be a stand-in for other herbs like frankincense. Maybe you can't get frankincense tears where you're at. Rosemary, good stand-in. Now, the last herb we're going to talk about today is dill. Dill is one of my favorite herbs. I enjoy growing it as well as eating it, and it's very big in my ancestors' practices. So if you're not new here, then you've probably heard me say a lot of times that I follow an ancestral path. So I like to do what they did, and so I use a lot of dill, which is good for exorcisms. It's good for protection. It's good for purification. And we're going to see what else it's good for in folklore. Now, in reality, not just folklore, dill attracts beneficial insects. If you grow it in your garden, it attracts insects that like to eat things like aphids, which you don't want in your garden. Now, in the Bible, they talk about how dill seeds can be used for tithing because dill was that important in everyday life. That also kind of gives it an afterlife association or a death association like the others. In the ancient world, people paid tithing to either ensure they would go to heaven or ensure somebody that had died in their family went to heaven. So, like all of these herbs have these. I didn't know about the connections to the afterlife outside of like protection and exorcism, because I feel like exorcism and the afterlife kind of would go hand in hand, right? Anyway, dill was thought to have good luck properties, especially for the Romans. Gladiators actually used dill for luck and courage, but they also used dill for its medicinal properties, and they cleaned their wounds with it because dill is antibacterial. It's actually been found to kill both staph and E. coli. Yeah, dill's fucking awesome. Now again, protection and exorcism associations for dill. An old folklore is that wearing a satchel of dill over your heart will break an evil eye spell put upon you. Similar to the use of basil for staving off hunger, the earlier settlers of America would carry dill seeds with them to make it through long church services and avoid the pains of hunger. Dill comes from the Norse word dilla, which means to soothe, because dill has historically been used to aid with upset stomachs, aid in insomnia, and I just found out to help promote lactation in women. So dill is pretty fucking amazing, and I'm glad I learned more about it today. I hope you are too. Like, did you know that the gripe water you see in the store, that's made with dill? I think other things are in it too, but predominantly dill. That's what it is. So, happy Folklore Friday. Have a great one, and hopefully I will see you on Moon Day. We shall see.